Okay, well, welcome back. Finally in front of the camera now with you. Welcome back to MLevel's Mastery 2019 Virtual Customer Summit. We're so glad that you could join us. Moving into the afternoon, we have a couple great presentations. I'm not going to bucket mine into the great, but we have Con Gottfredson coming up with the five with applied synergies, and then we also have Whitney Weaver, MLevel's CTO, talking about analytics within micro-learning. But it's my enjoyment to present the next topic to you, and it's the other 20%, why it matters in training. This is a follow-up to my 3 pillars concept that I presented yesterday. I think too often in learning that we produce something, we produce a mission, we produce a module, we produce a course, and we just push it out. And our one focus is, did everybody complete it? Did we check the box? Did we move past the launch stage of that actual course? And we never looked at the data. Or if we do look at the data, we've set something that allows everybody to check the box. Maybe it's 80% completion. Maybe it's 80% mastery. Maybe it's just going in and actually doing the course. I know some of the LMSs that some of our clients work with, you get completion as soon as you enter the course. And we've checked that box moment. Well, we want to take it a little deeper, and we always want to question, what about the other 20%? And when we say that, we're really referring to basically the other 20% of learning that takes place. And that other 20% of learning that's taking place is the knowledge that's not there for the end user to experience. And just a little technical thing, if we could just click on the PowerPoint there, I'm not going to use my clicker. There we go, perfect. Okay, so in the business, knowledge is truly everything. So when you think about knowledge and why the 20%, the 80%, the 100% of mastery is important, is because in business, knowledge is everything. So when you have an extensive knowledge, think of your client base, competitors, products, does that give you an edge? Do you have power over other individuals, other competitors that you have, if you have the knowledge in regards to maybe what you're selling? Or you're in a contact center and it's what you might be answering. Or maybe you're in the HR space and it's just questions around the company that you're answering to a potential candidate. That is the knowledge that really makes you different. So is 80% of that okay? Or should you truly have 100% of that knowledge when you're going into that experience? So I always look at this, an old, Latin phrase, always remember, senta patenta esta, from Sir Francis Bacon. And what does that mean if you're not familiar? And as we go on to our next slide, you're going to see, really, it's all about knowledge is power. So this goes way back when. This is definitely not a new concept, but having the knowledge is creating the power. And that power, once again, is in the sales cycle. It's in the contact center when you're answering the question and you get the first call resolution. It's in the recruiting stage when you can answer great questions and recruit the best candidates because you have the insight and the availability of what you're looking to have happen. So the problem that we're faced with, concerning ourselves with only 80% of that mastery of a topic, we're leaving a 20% knowledge gap. And some of you might be sitting there saying, hey, that doesn't bother me, that's okay, we've launched the course, no big deal. But I want to challenge you in that next course that you go to launch, or the next module, or maybe you're building it inside MLevel, that next mission, bump it up to 100%. Let's really challenge our learners to understand all of the content and information that we're looking to push to them. Now, one thing that I want to flash back to, and to Carl Kopp yesterday, he mentioned only put in training what you want them to actually know. Let's not put in training what we just hope they might want to know. What you want them to know needs to be in the training. Also make sure what you're bucketing into that training is going to fit in the time scale that's been allotted. So if we're doing micro-learning, a 5-minute segment, make sure that it's actually 5 minutes of information. We haven't taken a 1-hour course and dumped it into 5 minutes. The content and the knowledge is going to be most important. So setting 80% as the adequate standard for passing, we are unconsciously creating an environment which allows for more challenging information to be missed. So what problems does this create? This is one of those great discussions that I always like to have with our clients. So if somebody doesn't have the 20% when it comes to sales, do they miss the sale? Do they miss their bottom line? Are they not going to hit their Q4 quota? Is it the recruiting space that you're talking to a potential applicant and you don't have insights maybe on what the 2020 roadmap is? And that recruit, who's very highly sought after, goes to another company because they have that insight. Is it something that gets down to compliance and that we've broken a rule based off of the compliance that our security officers have put out there? And that causes our company or organization a big issue in regards to the experience that's taking place. That other 20% is a true gap that can cause us problems. So think of that gap as the ability to directly impact the organization and potentially even the bottom line when it gets down to it. So that impact, the other 20% produces a culture where only adequate knowledge is acceptable. So is that what we're looking to do? Are we looking for the adequate? Are we looking for the just it's okay? Are we looking for the check the box moment? Or do we want to be the top of the top? Do we want our employees to know everything that we're trying to push across? Do we want them to have all the insights? Do we really want to ensure that they are capable of taking and handling anything that comes to them? If so, let's start focusing on 100% of that knowledge. And let's not worry about that other 20% gap. This begins to truly have a negative consequence downstream, impacting both the employee as well as the company. And this manifests itself into employee churn, less efficient teams, customer retention, lawsuits. Yes, lawsuits. I know we talk about it. We don't want to hear about it in learning, but this could be a lawsuit issue. So if it's compliance related, sexual harassment related, and we're okay checking the box, we're not ensuring ourselves that the end user has actually retained the information and all of the information to push forward. Solution, you can solve this. You can truly solve this by focusing on that knowledge gap. But how do you do it? You have to have the right data, but not only just the right data, you have to present the right attention to the data. You have to be able to analyze the data. You have to have great insights into the data. And one of the things that's one of the most important pieces of the data is that you have to create a coachable and a mentorship type moment with the data to help eliminate that knowledge gap. No longer can we take information and criticize or ridicule an employee or demote them or even fire them, but take the insight, take the data, and have that moment that you can do as a coachable experience with them. We have a great client based out of Chicago, love working with them, and they're in the pharma industry. They have a focus on coaching individuals. They use data to coach individuals. They use data to improve individuals. There's never a negative connotation when it comes to data when they're working with those individuals. And there's somebody that's really focused on this knowledge gap, ensuring that just being adequate is not the way that they want to head. They want to ensure that the end user is set up for success and that they have 100% of that data and 100% of that knowledge when they're going out into the field. So how do we accomplish this? Well, first we got to develop a strategic approach for creating and truly evaluating organizational learning. We need to ensure that we've set ourselves up for success from the beginning. We know what we're looking to accomplish, and then we work ourselves backwards. We ensure that the learning that we're going to create is going to produce the data to give us the insights to reach those end goals. So really focusing on that learning objective and then jumping all the way to the end and saying, okay, what data is going to drive our insights on that learning objective, and then start building the learning between. So here at MLevel, we do that, and I mentioned this yesterday, utilizing the 3 pillars of learning. So briefly to cover over that again for those that might have missed it yesterday, breaking learning into 3 individual pillars: the knowledge transfer pillar, the knowledge reinforcement pillar, and the knowledge assessment pillar. When you work with some of our team members, such as Chris Weaver, Chris really likes to break down each pillar by looking at different activities that can be utilized within our platform. Also, one of the big points that we make as a team to our clients and our partners is that not every pillar has to be within the MLevel platform. You can have knowledge transfer taking place within your LMS. It might take place within an ILT setting. It might just be a video that you send somebody to YouTube to watch. But then bring them in our platform, have the reinforcement, have the assessment, so you can ensure that you're getting the data and the insights that are going to allow you to drive and focus on that gap. Now, once we've found that gap is when we create the 360-degree learning experience. So we've taken the 3 pillars, we've taken 180 degrees through those 3 different pillars, and then we start using the data. And the data is what drives and allows that other 180 degrees to take place, bringing it to a full circle experience by using the data to ensure that employees get the crucial information to continue growing in the role or continue focusing on a program that they have. It's a clear path for evaluation. And if we can create that continuous learning event that truly reinforces the desired behaviors, we really get an outstanding individual that can really contribute either to the bottom line or the first call resolution within a contact center, or make a difference when we're recruiting and looking for that highly sought after talent within our company. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and take a breath and see if we have any questions. And I know I appreciate Chris Weaver, one of my colleagues, kind of manning the podium now and seeing if anything's coming about. Chris? Okay, great. Well, no questions coming through as of yet. If you do, feel free to put them in the chat. I'll definitely follow up with you. The next speaker that we have coming up is Con Gottfredson. Con is just an instrumental individual within the learning space. He's been spending his time at conferences for years. He's somebody that I've learned from, well as his partner, Bob Mosier. They have a fantastic book, Innovative Performance Support. The book might look old when you get on Amazon, but let me tell you, every piece of that book is relevant right now. I go back to it. I reference it with conversations that I have with our clients all the time. So I'm excited. So we're going to take a quick 2-minute break. We're going to do a transition, and then we'll be bringing Con Gottfredson into the webinar. We appreciate you being part of the MLevel's Mastery 2019 Virtual Customer Summit.